Hi, my name is Jeannie, and in this video I'm going to explain to you how to keep your tabletop position without feeling fatigued in the legs or feeling any pain in your lower back. So one of the common observations that I've seen people do in my classes is when they go into tabletop and we're holding that tabletop position, the legs start to kind of go out to the side, or they try to bring the knee in closer towards the chest, or they bring the knee out, or they just completely give up and put their feet on the floor. So in order to go into our tabletop position, we have to understand what muscles are required to keep us strong in our abdominal muscles so that we're not fatiguing our hip flexor muscles. So when we start off in our tabletop position, the most important thing is to activate the correct muscles first, which is your T-zone or your core muscles, as well as your iliacus. So when you're lying down on your back with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor, before you go into your tabletop, you want to make sure that you're in your imprinted spine and your tailbone is heavy on the floor. And then you're going to connect your T-zone first. And in order to activate your iliacus, you're going to imagine that you're sucking your thigh bone in towards your hip socket and then slowly lift your foot up into tabletop position. That way you're using your iliacus muscle together with your T-zone or your core muscles to assist you to get into your tabletop position. And if you feel that you're still not very comfortable in your tabletop position, a fantastic exercise to help you strengthen that iliacus muscle is by going into an exercise called lift foot. So lift foot is where you start off in your neutral spine, shoulder blades down and back, chin tucked in. When you go into your lift foot, you'll want to activate your T-zone first, and then imagine that you're sucking your thigh bone in towards your hip socket as you bring your leg up towards tabletop, and then inhale, lower back down. So exhale, bring the other leg up into tabletop, inhale, lower back down. You don't always have to go fast. You can take a break in between each lift foot and imagine that you're sucking your thigh bone in towards your hip socket before you bring your leg up into tabletop. And you'll find that after doing a series of 10 repetitions every day, after about 2 weeks or so, you'll find it a lot easier to go into your tabletop and stay in your tabletop position for a long period of time. In addition to doing lift foot, I'd also recommend going into child's pose and holding that stretch for about half a minute to a minute, depending on how tight you are. This particular child's pose helps you to stretch out your psoas muscles as well as your iliacus, which connects towards your thigh bone. When you go into your modified child's pose, you want to make sure that your feet stay together and your hips are stuck on your feet as you bring your knees mat width apart, and you slowly come down along the mat with your hands extended long in front of you, and you keep your hips glued into your heels. Make sure that you keep your forehead off the mat so that your neck is in line with your upper back, and as you exhale you just reach a little bit further while keeping your hips on top of your heels. Make sure they don't lift off. Otherwise, if you do this, you're just stretching your upper back. But the intention of this particular modified child's pose is to stretch out the iliacus as well. Another additional stretch that you can also do is a hip flexor stretch. You can check that out in my other video. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a big like. And to stay updated with any new videos that I upload, make sure that you subscribe and turn your notification on. Thank you so much for joining with me today as we go into a deep dive into our tabletop.